let's start with Kevin Sumlin.
Okay.
And I wrote about this on TexasFootball.com. But in many respects, I look at the Kevin Sumlin era at Texas A&M, and I think that 2012 was the worst thing that ever happened to him. Because he goes and he picks Johnny Manziel, an inspired choice, by the way.
Right.
Remember, he was like, it was not like, oh, we got to start this kid.
Yeah.
There were arguably two guys in front of him, at least one.
Yeah.
Jameel Showers was definitely in front of him because he was the backup to Ryan Tannehill the year before. You could make an argument as to whether or not Matt Jokel was ahead of him.
Right.
But in any case, there are definitely two guys, at least one guy in front of Johnny Manziel. But he makes an inspired choice, and he makes Johnny Manziel the starting quarterback. The rest, as they say, is history. He wins the Heisman. They go 11-2, an absolutely breakout year. And then, of course, the recruits follow. They get like a top 10 recruiting class, and everything like, and for a fan base like A&M that is so hungry to be a national power again, right? Mm-hmm. This was their moment to dream. And this was their moment to raise expectations and say, we're back.
Right.
This is happening.
Yeah.
Kevin Sumlin's the right guy. Things are going to be different.
Yeah.
The year after that, 2013, a step back. They go 9-4, still a great year.
Yeah.
You go 9-4, still a great year. But the problem is for Kevin Sumlin is that bar got set so high in 2012, and he told everybody, things are going to be different.
Right.
Things are going to be – this is not the same A&M team. And then, essentially, the rest of his tenure at A&M was kind of same old, same old. It's what they'd seen from Mike Sherman. It's what they'd seen in the late years from Dennis Franchione. It's what they'd seen kind of for the past 2 decades, basically ever since R.C. Slocum's heyday. And now – again, I think part of it, I don't think it's all Kevin Sumlin's fault. I think that they never recovered from losing Cliff Kingsbury. I think that is super underrated. Yeah. I think John Chavis has underachieved as a defensive coordinator. Remember, he was supposed to be the savior.
Right.
They get LSU's defensive coordinator. He's supposed to be the savior.
Yeah. I
think the coordinators let him down. I also think being in that division, is not easy. I also think they missed on some recruits, and part of that is I don't think they've developed their guys particularly well. Like at Alabama, everyone seems to get better every single year. Right. That doesn't seem to be the case at A&M under Kevin Sumlin. And so, in the end, I really look at this, and I think 2012 year was the best and worst thing that ever happened to Kevin Sumlin, because it's the thing that got him a big contract extension. It's the reason he's about to get paid $10.5 million on December 31st or whatever. But it's also the reason that I think that the expectations were set so high that he couldn't meet them again. Right. And at A&M, they are so starved for a national power. Right. That all the fans got excited, rightfully so. Right. And he just couldn't.
They were on the cusp.
He couldn't deliver. Yeah. He couldn't deliver. So he's out. And so now you start looking at who Texas A&M is going to hire.
Well, there's only one guy, apparently. Well, it's already done.
The hot name from everyone you hear, including our friend Brent Zwerneman. He's been saying for weeks, it's going to be Jimbo Fisher. Yeah. The coach at Florida. Currently, by the way, employed at a Power 5 conference and at Florida State. So this would be, obviously, quite big. There are no FBS coaches in the state right now that have won a national championship. Correct. He would be one. He won the title in 2013 with Jameis Winston at Florida State. And look, the record speaks for itself. I think he's 83-23 at Florida State. He was the guy that pretty much handpicked by Bobby Bowden to take over. Is that right? That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
He was like his
long-time assistant.
Yep. Long-time assistant. Yep. Pretty much
came over from LSU.
Right. Here is the only, and I don't mean to say it would be a bad hire, because I think it would be a good hire. I don't want to say that. I would only say,
is he the best hire?
It's not. I don't think it's the slam dunk that everyone seems to agree with.
Can I just? I don't
get it.
I don't get it. I mean, like I do. I get national champion. Everything you already said. And maybe I'm sort of my perception is sort of skewed by what A&M has become, which is like a really cool place for recruits, right? Like if we're talking about what matters in the recruiting game,
Kevin Sumlin turned A&M swaggy.
Right.
It turned really cool.
It just seems like a weird fit to me. I don't know, but then again, no fit has really worked. Like if you're trying to build a national championship contender in College Station, what do I know? Because literally no one has been good enough.
Right. But that's and that's one of the points I want to get to.
Yeah.
Like right now, like Florida State was pretty darn good last year.
Right.
They had a tough year this year. Part of that is that their quarterback got hurt 3 plays into the season, and they've just suffered through terrible injuries. But in many respects, Florida State, like Jimbo Fisher is reportedly thinking about leaving Florida State because he doesn't get along with the fan base, and he doesn't get along with the like the powers that be. I'm sorry, have you met Texas A&M?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's not the...
If you think Florida State fans are demanding...
Yeah, they demand a lot. Look... Here's the
A&M
thing
fans, I think rightfully, are super demanding.
I'll take it a step further. Every program in this state struggles to some level with a perception problem, right?
Yeah.
Like we are Texas. We have 12 FBS teams. We have the best high school football in the country. We should be amazing at college football. And it does. I don't care which program you're talking about. They're not nearly as good as their fans think they are.
Correct.
Right. And I
or think they should be.
I think they should be. That's probably the case. But like, I remember a couple years ago, someone said, "Look at Texas. If you take the name Texas off of it, they're essentially Washington. Like they have the same sort of historic win percentages and marquee wins." It's tough, right? And A&M sort of is the same way. What have they ever won except one Big 12 title?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you have to go way back. So it's and I want all of these teams to be great, right? This isn't me trying to put them down, but it just shows sort of the disconnect that the fan bases go through. I understand the hunger, right? There's no question. We live it every day. We get to see the best football in the country at the high school level, and we want it to translate to the college level. But I think any coach who takes a job in this state has to understand that the demands might outweigh the realistic expectations for that job. Here's
another thing, and we brought this up when Matt Rule got hired at Baylor, so it's worth bringing up again.
Yeah.
What are his Texas ties?
Right.
What are his connections here in the state?
Right. Now, his recruiting class was awesome, right?
Yes.
And he hired great. He hired
Florida.
Great high school coaches.
In Florida.
No, I'm talking about Matt Rule.
Oh, Matt Rule.
I'm basically saying we said that when he came in, but he did all the right things.
He did. That's the thing. So he can tick those boxes.
Right.
But this is not some sort of slam dunk. And I don't necessarily understand this notion that it's like, oh, man, yeah, Jimbo Fisher comes in and like immediately A&M's like a national contender. It's like, I don't buy it.
See that. I mean, I don't see that in Florida State's records.
No.
Right? I think that you see it in their best years, but I don't think you see it as year to year. They're just impossible. It's not really the kind of program they've been. And we've talked about this too. Just money aside, which is a crazy thing to say, I mean, Jimbo really wants to come to College Station to have to deal with LSU, his former home, and Nick Saban every year in his own division?
So I'm not, again, and this isn't to crap on Jimbo Fisher because I think he's a great coach and I think he'll be a good hire for A&M. But I just don't get this notion that's like, one, that it's fait accompli that he's definitely the right choice, and two, that he's immediately going to step in and turn them into a power again. I just don't buy that.
Yeah, that just seems like a lot to ask. And again, in 2 or 3 years, maybe this is the guy. Right? Again, it's not to say that it's not the right choice.
Yeah.
I just think some of the rhetoric around it about it being the only choice, the slam dunk hire, boy, it just seems like setting a lot of people up for failure if it doesn't go well.
Let me throw 3 more names at you.
All right.
Okay. And look, it's probably going to be Jimbo Fisher if you believe the reports, including, again, our friend Brent Zorneman says it's pretty much going to be done. So there's that. Let me throw 3 more names in there.
Yeah.
One name I've been thinking the whole time is Chad Morris at SMU.
Right.
I think that would be like if you want the Texan high school football coach. He's turning SMU around. He's got that fun offense that's easy to recruit
probably the only coach that can usurp Herman on a bigger stage as being a true friend of Texas high school football coaches. He can take the power and the relationships he's had for decades. So I think it's big.
Frank Wilson at UTSA. If you want to go with Frank Wilson,
I mean, there was rumors that Ole Miss was very close to considering him before they juked.
I think he's a hot name, even though they've scuffled a bit down the stretch.
Right.
And then, about Les Miles.
It's an interesting
If
one.
you go with the can't beat them, join them idea,
Yeah.
or can't beat them, go grab them, you could never beat Les Miles, right?
I think the
He's available.
The one that I heard a little bit, and apparently he's meeting with Tennessee today. I think Mike Gundy. I would have loved to have stolen Mike Gundy from Oklahoma State and brought him into this state at A&M because I think that would have been fun.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But in any case, those are just a couple of names to consider. And again, that's not to say that Jimbo Fisher would be a bad move.
I mean, look, if he signs the dotted line, I'm excited.
Yes.
As a guy who gets to cover the 12 teams in the state and wants to see them competitive, I'm super excited. It's just been a little weird sort of listening to the this is a slam dunk, done deal. This is the greatest thing they could have done. I mean, it doesn't even seem like there was a lot of real thought about it. And I don't know. Maybe it's right. Maybe they're right. I'm not saying I'm right. I guess I've just been a little confused. That's all.